Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I wanted to discuss how to make running more fun and how to increase your motivation. At this time of year especially, people's motivation for running dwindles, and people will be wanting to take up running in the new year as their resolutions might be for fitness and for health, and I know a lot of people start running in the new year, so there's going to be a lot of beginners. And I know, especially for me, when I first started running, I didn't really enjoy running that much, and I wanted to give some helpful tips on how to make running more enjoyable. Obviously, running does have an element of being uncomfortable and it can suck sometimes, and running can be really hard. I don't think it's ever easy for anyone. And it's just about making things more enjoyable for you whilst you're out, so I wanted to kind of share some of the tips that I've learnt over my running journey with you. So maybe if you're struggling for motivation, if you're not enjoying running so much, I hope that these tips will be helpful for you. My first tip, and probably the most important, is to not compare yourself to anyone else and their running journeys, people that you follow on social media, people you follow on Strava. Don't compare your journey to someone else's. They could be far further into their journey than you are. They might be a more experienced runner. There are a lot of factors that come into play with regards to running, and it's important that you focus on your own journey and how you progress rather than comparing it to how someone else does. They always say comparison is the thief of joy, and that is completely true. As soon as you start comparing your results, your times, your pace, etc. compared to everyone else's, it becomes less enjoyable because you feel almost that sense of failure that you're not as good as everyone else, and that's not the way you should feel. I don't really pay attention to that sort of thing anymore. I don't really pay attention to time or speed or anything like that. I mostly focus on distance. And that's how I get by. I don't really compare myself to anyone else's journey. My journey is my own, and that's what I'm focusing on. So yeah, that would be my first, is to try and ignore the things that are going on around you in terms of comparing your journey, and just focus on yourself. My second tip is to set attainable goals, or have a race in mind that you want to train for, or book yourself in for a race so that you have that motivation of something to train for. In terms of setting attainable goals, you could have a distance that you want to cover for the year. I know there are a lot of virtual races out and about, and they have like mileage kilometre distances that you can do, like 1,000 miles or kilometres for the year. You could aim to do something like that. Or like I said, you could have a race that you book yourself for and train for. I always find that having a race on the horizon for you to train for makes you more motivated to go out. Obviously you don't want to be turning up to a race completely untrained, that would just suck. So definitely have a race in mind or booked that you can train for, and then you can have a training plan in place where you know where you're going to get in your runs, and I find that super helpful. So that would be my second tip. My third tip is to mix things up, do some cross training, so cycling, swimming, strength training in the gym, doing some Zumba, dance classes, fitness classes, circuits, things like that, to just mix up your running, especially on your off days. All those things that I've mentioned also help to strengthen you as a runner, so they're really important to keep them up and have something to do as cross training in between. They all complement running. There are lots of different activities that you can do to complement running. Even just going for a walk, going for a nice long walk somewhere is good for cross training, and it just kind of gets you away from doing running for a day and doing something else, switching it up so you're not always focused on running all the time. And like I said, they complement running as it is, so they're important to fit in, and it just gives you that sort of day off really, where you can do something else that you might enjoy. My next tip would be to focus on mileage and not speed and time. I would even go as far to say as sometimes it could be worthwhile not taking a watch or a tracker out with you and just running for the sake of running and finding the enjoyment in running again, rather than focusing on the time or the pace that you're doing. I have done that before in the past, and it's actually quite liberating to go out and not track anything. If you do have to track things, if you want to have it on Strava, etc., try to keep the time and the pace off your watch or your screen or whatever else that you track with, and just focus on the mileage itself and how you feel when you're running. I think that can be quite helpful, and it just takes the pressure off a bit of having to get a certain pace, having to get a certain time, etc. Just focus on the distance and try that for a while to see how you feel. The next tip, which I find quite helpful personally, is to change up your routes. Obviously, if at this time of year, especially when it's dark in the mornings and the evenings, if you want to plan out new routes, it's good to tell other people. I do have a video on like safety for running in the dark, etc. But yeah, in the summer months it's no problem, even going down to the trails and things like that when it's light out. Anything to sort of switch up your routine. I know running the same route all the time can be really monotonous, and it really just isn't inspiring or anything like that at all. So even just doing a route that you would regularly do in reverse, just to switch things up and have a different bit of scenery, something else to look at, another place to run, even driving to say a park or something like that and running there instead. All things to switch up the routine so that it's not so monotonous all the time. I do find that really helpful. I always have to try and find new routes when I'm run commuting every day, because doing the same route all the time is boring. So I'm always adventuring down streets that I've never been down before and things like that, just to switch things up and make things a bit different. My next tip would be to find someone to run with. Whether that's joining a running club, you can get the motivation there because obviously they have sessions that they would do during the week where you can join in. You can also obviously become friends with some of the people in the running groups and do other training sessions outside of the actual running club sessions. Even if you have work colleagues, there's a lot of social media groups where you can find people from your area for people to run with, your partner, friends, anything to just get that company so that you have someone to run with. And you can treat it like an appointment. You wouldn't really not turn up to an appointment, so if you'd scheduled to run with a running buddy or something like that, then you're less likely to want to not cancel the run because they could be relying on you too. They may be your source of motivation to be going out and running. So yeah, definitely try and find someone to run with. Obviously that doesn't work for everyone. Not everyone likes to run with people. I don't. Hence why I've also given other tips. If you struggle for running and making it fun and enjoyable, but yeah, that's just a suggestion to find someone to run with to make it more fun and to have a bit of conversation while you're running. The next tip might not be everyone's cup of tea, it's all personal preference, but having something to listen to and finding something interesting to listen to. I used to be someone that used to listen to music, however I've switched to podcasts as of late, and I'm really enjoying that and I really find it interesting. They don't have to be running related. If you don't want to run to something running related, it doesn't have to be that. There are plenty of podcasts out there with different genres, etc. I listen to a lot of comedy podcasts. I will be doing a video in the not too distant future on my favourite podcasts to listen to, and they're podcasts that I listen to all the time when I'm running home and on my regular just runs around town. And I really just find that it helps switch things up. If you are a solo runner and you like to run by yourself, it's sort of like having someone to run with you even though they're not actually with you, sort of thing, just to have that company. I often find myself giggling on the run. I probably look like an absolute lunatic, but I really do find that the run just goes super quick when you've got something like a podcast on. So that is a recommendation. My last and final tip is literally just to keep going at it. Hopefully you find some of the tips helpful in this video to kind of try out and switch things up. But it literally just is about being consistent. The more consistent you are with your routine and where you fit in your runs, the less likely you are to want to skip a run, just because it literally becomes part of your routine and a habit. So it's just about being consistent. Running isn't always about rainbows and butterflies. Not every run is brilliant, and you will have really sucky days where it just doesn't go to plan whatsoever. Every runner gets those sort of days, but I always find that a bad run always leads to a really good run, so it's just about sticking at it, just putting one foot in front of the other and just keep going at it. If you really find that you're not enjoying running, there are other sports and activities out there. It's just about finding the one that you like the most. Running isn't for everyone, and it's just finding what clicks for you. That may be dancing, it may be swimming, cycling. There's plenty of things out there that you can try out. But hopefully the tips in this video are helpful for trying to find the fun in running again. A lot of these tips have been really helpful for me. I really did not like running at all back when I started my running journey, and yeah, these are things that have helped me enjoy running more and more. If you'd have seen my previous video on my run streak, like I mentioned in another tip, having like a goal or something in mind for you to train for. My run streak has dramatically improved the way I think about running, and I really enjoy every run that I go out for. Obviously there is times where you have a really sucky run, but they are few and far between, and these tips have helped me along my running journey from when I started back in 2013. So I've been running for quite a while and I've still kept it up, so hopefully someone finds these helpful. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel to see more running and fitness content that will be coming out up until the end of the year, and obviously going into next year. I will have a video on recapping my fitness for this year and my goals for next year, so keep an eye out for that. I am also park running on Christmas Day and New Year's, and there will be 2 new park runs that I'm going to be doing, so I will make sure that I film the park run routes for them, and I will get those up on the channel, so keep an eye out for them as well. But yeah, I hope everyone has a good rest of their week or their weekend, whenever it is that you're watching this, and I will see you again in my next video. Bye.